Investments that you found interesting? All right. Well, one of the first things that we're going to do is something that I feel like is one of the last things that many people do, and that's save money. We're going to save at the beginning of the month before we do anything else. Not only will it be some cushion into that $1,000, like she mentioned, an emergency fund, but when you guys get older, you'll be making decisions about what type of investments you need to make, whether it be for your children's education, or for retirement, or for a rainy day, or a house, vacation. You'll have lots of decisions to make as far as that goes. But today we are going to save 10% of your take-home pay. 10% of the money that you just put in your balance is what we're going to do next. Now, this is what it looks like in our check register. You're going to take savings. Remember, these are the names of the transactions at the bottom. You'll put savings in the transaction column. You're going to figure 10% of your income, and you will put that in the withdrawal column. And you will subtract this amount from the number that we put up here at the beginning on that very first row. That was our beginning balance. We're going to subtract our savings from the beginning balance, and then we're going to come up with a new balance. That's our adjusted balance. All right, let's look at how to save 10%. So, my example here for my EMT, he or she brings home $4,154 a month. Now, you can figure 10% by, on your calculator, multiplying that times 0.10, and then 10% of this person's take-home pay that they will put in savings is $415.40. So that's one way to figure 10%. You could also take your take-home pay and simply move your decimal place. You know, you all have a decimal place at the end of your take-home pay. Move it one place over to the left, and that's another way to figure 10%. So whatever yours is, please write that in the withdrawal column. Then you're going to subtract it. Right, you did it just right. Write $263.30 right here. And then you're going to subtract it from this number with the answer right there. You guys got it? Glance at a neighbor to make sure they have it as well, and if they don't, give them a hand. We're going to be adjusting this balance for every transaction for the rest of the exercise. Did everybody get that? Understand how we're going to adjust the balance for every transaction? All right, let's next choose what type of house we're going to live in. I've got houses for sale, and I've got houses and apartments for rent. What's the difference between buying a house and renting a house? Who can tell me? Right there. That's typically true. Renting can be less, and buying's more. Anybody else? Yes.
Renting, you get charged every month. That's the most kind of thing.
Well, if you pay for a house out of pocket up front, it can be a one-time thing. Typically, though, when people buy homes, they do borrow money from lenders or from a bank, and then pay a monthly payment called a mortgage. And that's what these numbers represent. Anybody else got something else they want to add? The difference between buying and renting? Yes.
Renting, you don't own the house, it's not in your name, so if I don't know, if you destroy it or do something to it, it's extra charges to you and stuff like that.
That's true. That's true. When you rent and you saw Mr. Weewax took first and last month's rent plus the security deposit, those security deposits typically pay for things that you mess up and they have to repair when you move out. When you buy a home, it is yours, even though you pay those monthly payments to the company, the mortgage company or the lender. You do have the opportunity to earn equity in a home. When you rent, you pay money every single month, and after 10 years, if you move out, then you have really nothing to show for it. You just move on to do something else. But when you buy, and let's say you decide to leave after 10 years, you can have the opportunity to earn money from that equity. So if you bought a house for $130,000, and then 10 years goes by, and you paid that mortgage down to $70,000, so you only owe the bank $70,000. But the value of houses has risen. So now that house you bought for $130,000, you can sell it for $150,000. So after 10 years, you sell that house for $150,000, you pay the bank that $70,000 that you owe them, you just made $80,000. So you can use that money to go buy a bigger or nicer home, or you can save it or invest it. So that's one of the advantages of buying over renting. So you guys today are going to look at your family situation, and you're going to look at your income and make a decision about what type of house you want to purchase, or perhaps what type of house you want to rent. You can see they have different sizes of bedrooms and baths. It's okay if a couple of siblings have to share a bedroom. If you guys are looking at your income and don't think that you'll be able to stretch it. It never killed anybody to share a room with a sibling, I promise you. So this is going to be your housing transaction. So you'll write that in the transaction line. Down at the bottom, you can put a check mark next to housing, because we'll be taking care of that. And then you're going to write in how much money you're going to be spending this month on your housing. Now, if you're purchasing this house, it is worth saying that this price includes taxes and insurance. When you own property, the government does require you to pay taxes on the value of that property. And you must also keep insurance on it. So these amounts are a bit higher because they do include insurance and taxes. So keep all that in mind, make your decision, write the amount of whichever one you choose in the withdrawal column, and then you're going to adjust your balance. Housing. Whatever it says down here, you can use that as a guide. This and this and that. Got it? You know, this paper is yours to keep. So if you think that perhaps later on in this exercise you might not have enough money, if you want to jot down in the margin maybe the cost of a few smaller houses, then you can do that. And if you start to run out of money, you can make an adjustment. Okay? Our goal today is to not go into the black or into the red. We want to stay in the black. We want to have money left over by the end of the month. All right, did y'all make a decision? All right, let's go on to choosing our family transportation. Now, I've got new cars, I've got used cars. Prices for the new cars are more expensive than the used, and when I use the payment calculators on different dealerships' websites, I took into account that you guys were not putting any money down to buy these vehicles. That's why some of the prices are pretty high. The Camaro, $700. So, when you guys do get ready to purchase a vehicle, I hope that you'll remember putting some form of down payment, even if it's not much, will have an effect on your payment. This is how much it costs per month to drive these cars, and I've also given you an estimate of insurance per month for each one. If you choose to drive one of the trucks or the SUVs, you're going to have to add $250 for gas each month. If you choose one of the cars, gas is $150. Now, there are enough lines in your check register. If you wanted to do a separate line for auto, insurance, and gas, you can. Or you can add all three together and make it one transaction. If you are looking at your income and you feel like this might be more than you can afford, keep in mind that you can use public RATS transportation for $180 a month. It can take you to and from work every day, and it can also take you to the grocery store on Saturday. So for those of y'all who think that in the future you might be considering doing RATS, you might want to write $180 down the corner just to remind yourself that RATS transportation is available for that. Typically, no student I've ever had goes RATS first. They try to buy a car first. You also got to look at your family size. It's kind of hard to get that car seat out of the back of the Camaro. Alright? So y'all make a decision. This is your auto transaction. Like I said, you can add all three together if you choose and put it on one line, or you can break it up and put it on three separate ones. Yes. Yes. Yep. Subtract it, you're looking at right there, and put in your analysis. This is your auto transaction. Got it?
Look at that.
If you have
That was a total accident.
Cars are double.
3 kids,
Yes.
you use a manual for
Yes, you could.
No, process.
There's a seatbelt for everybody in the back seat of the Auburn.
Exactly.
All right.
Your kids are gonna be so cramped.
How'd y'all do over here? Got it? Still thinking? That is not insurance. Insurance is a different transaction. I've got more insurance to throw your way. Okay? What? No, it did not, and that's a great question. When you rent, it is typically a good idea to seek out renter's insurance because your landlord's insurance will not cover your things. There's a fire at your apartment building, and even though if your things don't get burned, if the sprinklers come on and everything in your apartment gets wet, that's your expense. So when you rent something, you do need to think about renter's insurance. Yes?
the gas, you know, for that one of our transactions.
You can if you want to, sure. Anybody else have any questions? Everybody got a ride? Okay, you can check off auto because we've taken care of our auto transaction. Next thing we're going to do is our donations. You guys are contributing members of society, and most people, with some of their extra income, make some sort of donation, either to their church or charity that they're close to or work with. So these are some examples. I want you guys, this is your donation transaction. Look at your income. You have to.